Rome did not build an empire on courage alone. Let's be honest. It was built with money and debt. We like to describe Rome's legions as something extraordinary, disciplined, sacred, untouchable. But once you step into the kitchen of the system, the picture becomes far more earthly. Thousands of soldiers had to be fed every single day. Weapons had to be invented, new roads had to be built, wages had to be paid, horses had to be fed, trees had to be cut to build siege engines. And none of this was free. In short, Rome's true power was not in the sword, but in the art of financing the sword. So how did they do it? At first, the system was simple and clear. In the early years of the Republic, the army consisted of citizens. If you owned property, you were called to serve. You brought your own equipment, and when the campaign ended, you went back to your land. But as Rome expanded, everything changed. Wars lasted longer. Front lines moved farther away. Campaigns no longer took 1 year. They took 10. The age of "I'll go and come back" was over. Rome now needed professional soldiers, men who knew war inside out. The state began paying salaries. Not much, but enough to ensure loyalty. And that's when the real shift began. War started to generate money. Every new conquest meant new taxes, new slaves, new mines, new trade routes. More war meant more funding. Rome didn't rely only on taxes, it borrowed. During long and costly wars, especially against Carthage, the state borrowed from the wealthy, and these elites were not offering help. They were making investments. What did they get in return? Interest, tax collection rights, commercial privileges in newly conquered lands. In short, war became a profitable business. And once it became profitable, it never stopped. Over time, this system infected everything. Generals gained power by promising loot. Senators shared in the profits of war. Private companies entered every stage, from taxation to logistics. Rome was no longer just a state. It had become a military financial machine. The problem? This machine had no off switch. When expansion slowed, money ran out. As rebellions increased, the treasury drained, and Rome turned to a familiar path, debasing the currency. They reduced the silver content of coins. No public announcement, but everyone noticed. Costs rose, loyalty declined. The wealthy protected themselves, buying land, buying slaves, hiding their spoils. The poor paid taxes and tried to survive on money that lost value every day. The state grew heavier. Poverty spread. Public services collapsed. This was not a military defeat. It was a financial collapse. Now stop for a moment and look at today. Massive budget deficits. Wars financed by credit. Central banks endlessly printing money. One group accumulates assets and grows richer. Another group can buy a little less at the grocery store every week. It's not exactly the same, but the feeling is familiar. Rome's lesson is simple. A system built solely on growth cannot grow forever. At some point, it stops. And when it stops, the people pay the price. Rome paid it through taxes, currency debasement, and expanding control. The public was distracted. Those with wealth protected themselves. Today, the names have changed. The system hasn't. So the issue is not escaping the system. You can't. The real task is understanding how it works. Knowing inflation isn't random. Questioning the cost of debt-driven growth. Asking, if I don't understand this, who is winning? Financial education is not just about investing. It's about understanding power and incentives. So next time there is a collapse, the next war, the next emergency spending, don't just watch. Follow the money. Because history tells us this: empires do not fall when gates collapse, but when numbers begin to lie.